Good evening and thank you for joining us on NTA Nationwide. I'm Naja'atu Tijani and we'll begin with news from the security sector. Following the confirmation of their appointments by the National Assembly, the newly appointed Chief of Defence Staff and Service Chiefs of the nation's armed forces have been decorated with new ranks. President Muhammadu Buhari, who performed the ceremony, tasked the service chiefs to do whatever it takes to reclaim all territories dominated by criminal elements and effectively secure the country before the rainy season. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The new Chief of Defence Staff, Lucky Irabu from Delta State, now a four-star general, was commissioned as a second lieutenant in June 1986, and until his present appointment, the Commander, Training and Doctrine Command of the Nigerian Army. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attairu from Kaduna State, was commissioned in December 1986 as an infantry officer. His counterpart of the Nigerian Navy, Vice Admiral Awal Zubairu Gambo from Kano State, joined the service as sub-lieutenant in 1989, while Air Marshal Ishaka Oladayo Amau of the Nigerian Air Force from Osun State became a pilot in 1986. President Muhammadu Buhari described their appointment as not only well-deserved, but also a confidence loudly expressed on behalf of Nigerians. The entire nation, he emphasized, is looking up to them for what he called rapid relief from the worrisome state of insecurity in parts of the country.
As Commander-in-Chief, I have accepted responsibility for your actions in the field. It's up to you to identify your competent officers, irrespective of seniority and paper qualification, and deploy them to go out into the field and secure the country. We have got a few weeks to do that because by the rainy season we expect people to develop confidence and go back to the land to produce enough food for the nation.
While wishing the service chiefs the best of luck, President Buhari promised that every support and encouragement desired will be accorded them towards achieving their objectives. The new Chief of Defence Staff, General Lucky Irabu, on behalf of the service chiefs, expressed gratitude to the President for the honor and trust bestowed on them, which he promised will be justified.
The mandate which you've given us is very clear, which is to do everything possible to address all the security challenges facing us as a nation. We will, based on the mandate, do everything in our power to address all issues appertaining to insecurity in the country, working in concert with other security agencies.
General Lucky Irabu, who pledged unalloyed loyalty of the Nigerian Armed Forces to the President and the nation's constitution, later spoke to NTA News on the next big step.
We will bring Mr. President's expectation to bear in terms of our tax. But let me also let you know that the inevitable is that Nigerians will indeed experience peace and security across the land. And we ensure that Nigerians, whatever bring fear to them before now, will be a thing of the past.
How do you intend to achieve that?
Well, that is the trump card, which I will not reveal to you. We, as members of the armed forces, will review various strategies and then, of course, come up with new ones to be able to meet the demands of the current realities.
The Chief of Defence Staff was, however, emphatic that under the watch of the new service chiefs, peace and security of Nigeria will not be determined by either terrorist or other criminal elements. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Benue State Governor Samuel Otom has hailed President Muhammadu Buhari over his directive to security agencies to shoot anyone illegally bearing AK-47 rifles. The governor gave the commendation when he received the chairman, Governing Board, Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, Professor Usman Kuka, at the Government House, Makudi. Charles Abba reports.
Otom stated that the president's order on illegal possessors of AK-47 would reduce criminality, banditry, and other vices in Benue communities, as well as other parts of the country, and make ancestral homes of displaced persons safer for them to return. He indicated that President Muhammadu Buhari has done the right thing by yielding to the calls by concerned Nigerians on the need for the federal government to act swiftly and decisively to save the country from slipping into anarchy.
And I believe that for us here in Benue State, this order that has been given, if it is implemented, our IDPs can go back to their ancestral homes and live peacefully and go about farming so that the issue of food insecurity will not be there.
The governor maintained that Nigeria belongs to all its citizens and only justice and equity anchored on the rule of law would guarantee the unity and stability of the nation. In Makudi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
And on the health scene, the first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine, which arrived in Nigeria on Tuesday, has been administered to frontline health workers in Abuja, signifying the official launch of the national COVID-19 vaccination campaign. In a symbolic act, 4 frontline workers, 3 men and a woman, were the very first to receive the vaccine administered in 1 dose each via injection. Declaring the vaccine safe and certified by NAFDAC, the Minister of Health, Dr. Osagie Hanire, commended frontline workers for their tireless efforts in the face of the pandemic, paying tribute to all those who lost their lives in the line of duty and outlining the criteria for eligibility and nationwide administration.
But hopeful exercise to see our fellow citizens develop immunity against this virus.
Vaccines for our environment, getting the right vaccines that are suitable for our cold chain infrastructure. Earlier today, we got the news from our sister agency, the NAFDAC. The DG NAFDAC is here. Her team worked tirelessly over the last 48 hours to do the final checks to the vaccines, and she gave us the good news that apart from certifying that these vaccines are safe, they've done the final checks and we can go ahead with the vaccination. Can we give NAFDAC a round of applause?
Turn the tide against this pandemic that has so affected all of us in Nigeria and the world over. And permit me at this point to extend our sincere appreciation to all the head workers in the FCT and the entire nation for having worked tirelessly over the last 12 months to make sure that all of us stay safe and alive.
Our government on the safety and efficacy of the vaccines brought to Nigeria. And lastly, we must support the planned and systematic rollout of the vaccines and mobilize our citizens as we move into the states.
The World Health Organization Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization says the AstraZeneca vaccine has an efficacy of 63.09% against symptomatic SARS-CoV-2 infection. Longer dose intervals within the 8 to 12 weeks range are associated with greater vaccine efficacy, but not to be administered to pregnant women. The Nigeria Governors Forum has agreed to work closely with the federal government and frontline health workers to ensure successful vaccination of Nigerians from the more than 3 million AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines received Tuesday this week. The forum, in a virtual meeting, resolved to comply with laid-down guidelines provided by the National Primary Health Development Agency, as well as ensure a functional cold chain to preserve the vaccines. The NGF also fixed the Tuesday, 9th of March 2021 as official date for the vaccination of governors and their deputies, with priority to health workers, the aged and the vulnerable. The forum says the vaccines are safe and effective for citizens of 18 years and above, but will require sustained efforts in adhering to non-pharmaceutical measures to completely defeat the pandemic. The virtual meeting was attended by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, Minister of Health, Dr. Osagie Hanire, and other key players in the health sector. Meanwhile, 708 new cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in Nigeria in the last 24 hours. In the figures released by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, the new infections are from 20 states and the FCT, with Adamawa State having the highest number of new cases of 180. A state-by-state figure shows that Lagos is second with 140 new cases, and Ondo with 60, Anambra 54, Rivers 41 rather, Taraba 33, Edo 30, Abia and Kaduna have 22 each, FCT 21, Akwa Ibom and Kano have 20 each, while Plateau has 11. Others with new infections are Ekiti, Kebbi and Nasarawa with 10 each, Bayelsa 7, Ogun, Osun and Oyo states have 5 each, while Gombe has 1 new case. With this, Nigeria now has 157,671 confirmed cases of COVID-19, out of which 136,335 have been treated and discharged, while 1,951 have died of the virus. And still on healthcare delivery in the country, it's about to get better with the launch of the maiden National Health Supply Chain Strategy Plan 2021 to 2025. Salwa Khalil Ibrahim reports.
It seems the days when citizens have to travel abroad for medical tourism is over, with recent government policies and programs targeted at providing accessible and affordable health care services to all Nigerians. In addition to the provision of facilities and other services to meet international standard, supply chain strategy documents that encapsulate modalities, mechanisms and principles that will ensure availability, feasibility and value for money for all medicines and healthcare products, especially in the public health sector, has been launched.
With a common goal of reducing morbidity and mortality rate.
Minister of Health Dr. Osage Ihanire represented is optimistic that implementation of the policy across board will prepare health system to manage introduction and administration of COVID-19 vaccine in Nigeria.
The appropriate use of these documents would promote acceptance of medicines used in our public health programs and increase the confidence of users of our healthcare facilities due to the assurance of the quality of medicines and pharmaceutical care available.
When implemented, the National Health Supply Chain Strategy Plan 2021-2025 will have a government-led sustainable health system that will provide access to safe, quality and affordable medicines and vaccines for all. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
And away from health matters now, despite the relatively improved contribution of the information and communications technology sector to the nation's GDP, the National Assembly Joint Committee on ICT and Cybercrime says Nigeria is still lagging behind in digital sophistication, security and know-how, which are critical to the development agenda. The legislators raised the concerns during an oversight function to the planned headquarters of Galaxy Backbone Limited. ICT correspondent Joseph Johnson reports.
Staying up to date with the rest of the world in the cyber technology domain is seen as a necessity, and for an agency saddled with the responsibility of providing and protecting internet services to ministries, departments and agencies, it can be a daunting task, especially without getting the necessities.
We are very much aware